I will move on to the actual concept of the Saptanga state. Now, the Saptanga state, why do we need to study it? That's because human beings have lived in agglomerations forever and ever. These agglomerations have become kingdoms, they have become nation states. And humanity has always tried to understand these nation states. So have we, so have Indians. But for some reason, probably because of colonial arrogance and the white man's burden and the idea that Indians are not able to theorize, they have this very fixed idea that Indians are very good at some wishy-washy religious mumbo jumbo, but when it comes to real concepts, when it comes to sophisticated theorizing, Indians are zilch. So that kind of thinking has been so dominant that the Saptanga state theory has not received any importance at all. This is the Indian very old concept of the Saptanga state. Where does it come from? It can be traced back to our Itihas Puran traditions. It can be traced back to whole generations of scholars. And these generations of scholars have been mentioned in the Arthashastra itself. I am going to talk about Kautilya's idea of the Saptanga state, but he is not the one who originated this concept. It's a much older concept. You will find discussions in the Shanti Parv of the Mahabharata. You will find discussions in various Dharma Shastras, including Manu's Dharma Shastra. You will find discussions across all our Chaturdash Vidyasthans. So this is not a standalone thing. Kautilya is the most important and the most complex explicator of this theory. But this theory belongs to a period far older than his. And we will refer to some of the older generation of rishis and intellectuals who also contributed to the Saptanga state theory as far as I am able, because there's a lot of matter. So don't we need to examine this theory of the origin of the state, this theory of the constituent elements of the state, at least on merits? I am not even saying for the moment that you just throw out everything and start studying the Saptanga state. No, let us just examine it on its merits. Let's look at it, understand it, read it in our modern context, read it along with so many other political theories. Why do we ignore it? Why do we pretend that it doesn't exist? That is the academic problem. This whole ignoring of theories which have originated in our own soil, which are very fitted to understand not only ourselves but also the world. Remember, India has always been an outward looking society. It has never been an inward navel gazing society. We have always tried to understand the world. We have been at the center of the ancient trade routes, the Indian Ocean littoral, and we have been trying to understand not only ourselves but the entire world. So let us give this a kind of chance. What is the current idea of the nation state? We are all very much influenced by the Westphalian idea, that 16th century treaty between European Christian kings, where they divided temporal power, sacral power. They decided that one nation, one ethnicity, one religion is what defined the nation. That is not what defines the nation or the kingdom according to our own Kautilyan ideas. But we are very heavily influenced by those Westphalian ideas. In case we want to go somewhere else, then we say, okay, Plato, Aristotle, okay, Hobbes, he said that this is how the state originated. I have had discussions with people who say that Indians have no concept of how the state originated. I'm going to prove them wrong in the next 5 minutes. I'm going to tell you what Kautilya's idea and what actually the Indic idea, indigenous idea of the origin of the state is. Why did it come into being? I'm going to talk about all that. So, it is incumbent upon us in today's world. And why do I say that? Because today's world has suddenly again become a multipolar world. This sounds so much like the polity that Kautilya was talking about, where there were a number of kingdoms and you had to deal with all of them. And one of the constituents is Mitra, which is international relations. And if you go to international relations and if you talk about the time the United Nations was set up, who was one of the biggest theorists? Hans Morgenthau. Now, Hans Morgenthau also had some ideas of what the state consists of. But let me tell you that his idea of the elements of the state, the constituents of the state, are fewer in number, lesser in scope than the idea of Kautilya. So we have to give it a chance. We have to see. And I mean, I'm going to ask for your opinion after we finish all this. Do you think that we can use these theories in any way? I have had discussions with bureaucrats because I am also a bureaucrat, and without reading anything, they are of the opinion that we do not need to read Kautilya because it's too old. That is not an attitude which is academic. That is not an attitude which is kind of, free and fair, because we need to read something before accepting or rejecting it. So why is it that Hans Morgenthau can be called the ultimate person who understood power and understood realism in politics? I wish somebody would be able to do a kind of comparative study of Hans Morgenthau and Kautilya, and let's see what we come up with. So, this is the background. And this is the reason why we need to study the Saptanga state, because now more than ever, we need to apply, and it is my academic opinion, that the application of Kautilya's Saptanga state theory to today's international politics, as well as today's understanding of the nation state, will lead us to a greater understanding, greater application, and better policy making. So it's not, just for the sake of reading something old, exotic, interesting. No, it's for today. It's for improving our own policy making. It's for improving our own understanding.